Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Overmind, and welcome back to another StarCraft 2 replay cast. Today I have for you a TVZ, and notably this is a TVC in which the workers are wearing little party hats as a celebration for Blizzard, so we're very excited about this game. In any case, let me go ahead and introduce our players before I get too carried away. Spawning on the bottom right side of this map, in red, we have our Terran player, PraiseJeebus. And spawning at the top left side of this map, in blue, we have our fearsome Zerg player, HateCraft. Now I am going to go ahead and speed this up just a little bit, just right in the beginning, you guys. That's all I'm going to do. I don't want you to miss anything, but this is kind of a longer game, and I definitely want to make sure that we have time to get through it all before I have to go to bed tonight. Looks like our Zerg player is going to go ahead and go spawning pool first, down here at 11, and he's getting gas. Looks like he's going to let it finish very, very early to get gas. Could be something like speed Zerglings or Banelings to be a little bit aggressive. We see that he mines 3 at a time from that right away. PraiseJeebus gonna see all of this with his nice little scouting SCV, fairly well timed to see everything finishing on up. And PraiseJeebus himself is just getting his barracks down and done. And looks like he's gonna go ahead and add a reactor right away, because he wants lots and lots of Marines in case there are Banelings, because he's gonna need them. He might need to replace them quickly, because Banelings can just tear through those Marines. And he's going to go ahead and put up a second barracks so he can be extra aggressive with those ground units. Going to be a tech lab so he can get those important upgrades. And then quickly follows up with a factory. Do want to note that PraiseJeebus does have a refinery up and going, but it's not like he has 2 of them. I don't expect a lot of mech play, especially right at the beginning of the game, since he hasn't grabbed that second one yet. Neither player has yet elected to take an expo. We do have a Roach Warren coming up for HateCraft, and he already has his Baneling nest up. Now I want to note the timing of this lair tech. He has this done by the 6-minute mark, you guys. That is way, 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 way early for a lair. It's fantastically early. So hopefully we'll see some higher tech units coming on out of here pretty quickly. We do notice that HateCraft has built a decent number of Zerglings here, which hopefully will be morphed into Banelings to put on a little bit of pressure here. Could be seeing a Baneling bust of sorts going on. It is always a good idea to try and make as few units as possible and drone as much as possible until you hit that ideal number of drones. As I've said before, and I will say again, you want to drone pretty much all the time, unless you have hit the ideal number of drones. Most people stop between 60 and 80 or 90. If you're Scarlet, you stop at like 110 or something, but most people stop at a lower number than that. If you are about to attack, which, you know, hopefully is what we'll see here, or if you're defending from an attack. Now it's fine to build a few contingency units, and if that's what he wants to use these for, that's okay, but you want to reduce that number down gradually as you get up the ladder and get a bit more game sense going. At the moment, HateCraft really just has this one Overlord on the map to spot for his opponent. He does have some Overlords here, and over here to spot for incoming attacks, but he doesn't have a lot at his opponent's base to spot for outgoing attacks. Having a couple Zerglings at the watchtowers and having just like 1 or 2 hanging out near the front entrance of your opponent's base actually really help with that spotting. We do have the expo down for HateCraft now. It's going to be able to get that up and running and make more units, which is what you want to do if you want to win. PraiseJeebus also going to go ahead and expand. Going to get the orbital command upgrade and start mining with his little party hat workers. Not too much in the way of defense here. He has a little pile of mostly bio units. And it looks like he's just starting his starport, which is a good idea because he definitely wants medevacs to heal this little ball of Marines and Marauders. He does have stim finish, so that's going to be good, but that's going to damage his army. So again, medevac's going to be pretty important. Couple Widow Mines, couple sort of random hellions out here. Could be morphed into hellbats once he has an army, so that could be good, but I don't see a lot in the way of mech play coming out of him. So that's going to mean that the choice of banelings would be a very good choice for HateCraft. HateCraft actually has a spotting overlord here in a pretty good spot. This is a spot where not too much in the way of army can hit him, except for maybe a couple air units like Vikings or battlecruisers later in the game. But he's going to be relatively safe to spot the front of his opponent's base right here for now. Back at our Zerg base, we need to see an inject here. Definitely want to see all of the injects going off. Looks like this queen has done her inject. Looks like we're going to have a triple Evo chambers going down for those upgrades, so that'll be a thing. Do have money getting a little high. There's that inject. There we go. It was kind of late. That's okay. He does have it now. Looks like he did just spend that money on a bunch of drones, which is exactly what we want to see. Droning along. Doing Zerg stuff. Bunker going down here. 3 bunkers going down here. Excuse me, lots of bunkers. Not completely walled off, but that's okay. Terrans definitely going to want to have a little bit of protection in case there are aggressive banelings or something of the sort. Terran player has gone ahead and put a couple Widow Mines down here. And this is actually a pretty good idea because a lot of things wind up crossing these platforms here and here. So, pretty good idea to have these down here just because they might get some kills off. But they are kind of vulnerable if our Zerg player does get detection and spot though. So, see how that winds up going. We do see some Zerglings running up. Gonna miss. Alright, cool. He might position them closer to the ramps and that might have him, might get him a little bit more luck going on. But so far, kinda okay. Zerglings moving around. Making sure they keep the watchtowers. All very good. Few more units being produced from HateCraft and moving around a little bit. Probably could afford to drone a bit more, but you see that he is producing drones. Looks like he just made 8 of them. And he's getting a whole bunch of upgrades, which is really good. I personally am not as great about getting upgrades. Looks like he's going to go ahead and get Burrow, in addition to getting all of his level 1 upgrades for everything. And we need an inject here, Queen. We need an inject. You can do it. I believe in you. Alright, we're going to talk a little bit about injects at the end of this game. We will, I promise. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and move on and take a look back at PraiseJeebus' base. See that he has this command center going down here. So he's looking to expand. And usually Zerg players, if you are Protoss or Terran, will have 1 base more than you do. So having a base up on a Zerg player is actually really good. It's a sign that you're doing well. It looks like he's going to go ahead and start producing tanks. He's gone ahead and switch this factory with the starport so that he can make a whole bunch of medevacs, which is going to be good. Looks like he is loading up. Could be a sign that there are drops. And Overlord finally getting shot at a little bit, now that he can have a little bit more vision with his medevacs. HateCraft can go ahead and just back this up over this chasm, though, and keep it alive. So that's going to be good for him. Loaded up medevacs. Oh, I'm so waiting for this drop. Is it going to be a doom drop? Alright, just these 2 are moving out. I swear I saw more loaded up. I guess they loaded up elsewhere. Medevacs. Medevacs, do something. Alright, we're gonna come back to them. We're gonna come back to them. We have additional barracks going down, so lots and lots of production as far as bio units. We have 2 additional tech labs being added on. Another reactor over here. This expo looks like it's getting ready to float on out, and here we go. Here are the medevacs crossing the map. Now we do have this recently put down expo by HateCraft. He should be able to spot a lot of this since he's very close to creep. Looks like our Terran player is going to unload here, possibly to deal with some of this creep. Looks like he's going to march across the map. HateCraft should know what's going on here. Looks like there's going to be a scan from our Terran player. Lots of units zoom in. Should be able to clean this up pretty quick and easy. And indeed they do for the most part. Right now HateCraft doesn't really have much in the way of things that can shoot up in the units tab. We see that he does have 6 Hydralisks, but not too many things overall. Looks like he's going to go ahead and produce a whole bunch more Hydralisks just to make sure that he can deal with those drops. In the units tab we do have 42 drones, so not quite all the way there to our ideal number, but once he is able to saturate this up a bit better, should be able to help out a lot with that. Definitely pretty late on that 3rd expansion. Always want to be a base up on your opponent if your opponent is Terran or Protoss and you're playing Zerg. Lots of units being produced. Looks like he's going to go ahead and get Infestors. I strongly encourage all of you to go ahead and get up on that tech, especially if you have that very, very early lair tech down. Looks like he does have the Infestation Pit. So he's going to go ahead and take full advantage of that. We have upgrades being researched all around. We've almost finished all of the level 2 upgrades, which is going to be good. Lots of tanks here. Lots of medevacs. Units streaming out of the base, really. And this base pretty well saturated as well. So actually, economically, probably PraiseJeebus is a little bit ahead of HateCraft, and is overall doing pretty good. He's getting a bunch of upgrades right now at his tech labs and his engineering base. Want to be a little bit proactive about getting your upgrades for bio balls, especially since you can have them pretty quickly, and then they're very strong in the mid game, or sort of early mid game. We do have a hive coming on up for HateCraft, so I'm very excited to see what he does with that. Looks like we do have some units moving out a bit, poking out of the base. Now both of our players actually have a lot of money. I actually want to pick on PraiseJeebus a little bit here, because he has 3,500 minerals and almost 1,000 gas. Want to be making more production buildings if you have that much money. And you'll note that he's actually not making out of a lot of his buildings here. He does have them hotkeyed, but he's only producing 1 unit right now. He needs to be producing units continuously and spending his money. That's really going to help him out as far as not having $1 billion, and also as far as just making sure that he has enough units to deal with his opponent. We do note that he is approaching supply cap, so that is very good. He's almost max, but so is our Zerg player, and our Zerg player has made it a point not to have 1 billion minerals, so we're all very happy with him. There's an attack going to go on at this expo. I don't think this number of units is going to be enough to really deal with this Terran army, but it certainly is going to disrupt mining for a time. Losing these units is very, very not great for HateCraft. But you see him very quickly build a bunch of new units. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of him building all these Zerglings, especially since I've seen him morph very few Banelings. Definitely want to be building more power units, especially in the mid and late game, because Zerglings are not incredibly great as units. Banelings are really, really great against bio balls, so always make sure your composition is good. Probably at this point we could have another expo from HateCraft so that he can build things more quickly. We do see that he is preparing for this attack. He knows that his creep is being attacked. He's all ready. He has a spine burrowing here. He's missing an inject. It's okay. He's very focused is the issue here. Terran player are going to go ahead and clean up some of this creep, which is a good idea. You don't want to let Zerg creep get out of control on you. It'll just cover the map. It makes everything really gross. You don't want creeps hanging out on the map, okay? It's bad. Want to deny the vision and that extra move speed bonus to him whenever possible. We do have a bunch of infestors in this army, which I'm excited. If he gets some good fungals off, that could be very good for him. Medevacs sort of doing their own thing, independent of the army. Often we have them follow a beefier unit or two, say a nice Marauder here in the middle of the pack, so that they don't separate too much. Definitely want to make sure that the medevacs are available to heal. Right now, PraiseJeebus is maxed, and HateCraft is effectively maxed. I mean, he's right up there. He's pretty close to maxed. Looks like we do finally have the Vikings out. Gonna go ahead and kill off that very nicely positioned Overlord. But you'll note that he stayed alive for almost 25 minutes of the game, so that's pretty good. These Vikings are gonna move out and do a little bit of poking around at Overlords if they can. We have a lot of SCVs streaming around across the map. I don't know what they're doing. They're having a party, you guys. That's why they have the hats. That's why they're here. Maybe they're bait for these Widow Mines. Widow Mines will actually do friendly fire though, so that's kind of scary. Probably PraiseJeebus doesn't really need this many SCVs at this point because he has a lot in his bank and he's supply capped, but still. Maybe he's hoping that HateCraft will just kill him for him. HateCraft gonna go ahead and get an Expo. Definitely could be more proactive about expanding if you're HateCraft. Because expanding a Zerg is good. Because your expansions are not just your mining buildings, they're also your production buildings. And it's also important to keep expanding because as these geysers will eventually run dry, you'll want places to mine new gas from. We do have a small force moving out for HateCraft. Doing a little scouting. Maybe gonna poke at the army a little bit. Oh, back up. Back up, that's right, Zerglings. That's right. I don't think there's really enough forces here to engage this. I think these guys are just all gonna die. Yep. Alright. Alright, but that's fine. He can max out pretty quickly, and hopefully he'll replace them with better units, more power units, and in fact he's gonna go ahead and make 9 Mutalisks. Ah, yes. We love Mutalisks, you guys. Mutalisks are great because they let you harass your opponent, and they don't ever have to directly engage with anything. Several medevacs flying around here, outdistancing their slow Bioball units. Bioball gonna go ahead and take out HateCraft's creep tumors. PraiseJeebus cleaning it up, getting it done. HateCraft, oh, very good fungal right there. I think he's gonna be able to take out pretty much all of this. Yeah, very, very good fungals, keeping those units locked down, cleaning them on up, losing very little. PraiseJeebus taking a pretty big hit there. You do note that he is going to go ahead and produce 6 Marines right off, and several Marauders as well. We see more Mutalisks coming up from HateCraft, who is maxed, and is going to go ahead and start getting those air units. I'm also pretty excited about these Corruptors. We did see the nice hive come down up here, and we see double spires for those research upgrades. So probably going to go pretty heavy air, and possibly, maybe we'll even see Broodlords, my favorite Zerg unit. Definitely do want to take advantage of all of the high tech that you can, especially as we get into the late game. We have Ultralisks as well, which look awesome. I'm actually going to go ahead and zoom in. Look how cool this skin is, you guys. They look super mad and ready to eat all of the Terran units, which is exactly what you want if you're HateCraft. We have some Mutalisk harass going on over here at this base. Gonna be able to pick off a Viking, which is very good. Now they definitely want to go ahead and pick off as much as they can and then retreat before the rest of the army gets here. Might be able to pick off a Viking or two, but they don't want to be here when there's too many Marines. That's right, back on up. Pick off a Viking, back on up. Okay, now it's time to flee. No, now it's time to flee. Oh, HateCraft, be so careful. It's time to flee. Alright, there we go. Definitely knowing when to leave with those Mutalisks and when to stay around. See, now's the time to leave, HateCraft. Alright, HateCraft. The nice thing about Mutalisk, thing that I really like, is that you can swing them all around the map. You can pretty much just dodge the opponent's army, run around and kill workers. It's great. It's actually really, really great to have Mutalisk because they're a strong unit. They've got a lot of punch to them, and they can just out-mobilize the other army. So that's really good. They also have really good regeneration, so if they take a hit, totally fine. We do have another small flock of Mutalisk. Gonna go ahead and move on out across the map. I do want to note that for our control groups, for your harassment units, it's really nice to have them hotkeyed separately. So that would actually probably help out with a lot of this harassment as well. We have some harassment going to go on in this expansion. Might actually force him to lift. This expansion is damaged pretty heavily. Oh, backing on off. Backing on off. Might actually be able to engage this small army of Terran soldiers. Looks like they're going to go ahead and have the SCVs throw down a decent number of turrets to help stop this from happening. And now the rest of the army shows up and definitely should go ahead and back off as HateCraft, which looks like he's going to go ahead and do. Now what do we have on the way here? We have additional air attacks coming up. We already have our Ultralisk Cavern. Looking at the units tab though, we still have like 12 Zerglings, which is fine, not too many. 9 Mutas, which is okay. Probably could do more if we're going to get a bunch of those air upgrades. 3 Ultras, which is awesome. Several Corruptors, bunch of Roaches, and 38 drones. Alright, so usually you drone up to a higher number, but probably by now he's sacrificed some of them in order to make room for all of these very nice units, including these Infestors, which he's done very well with, especially regarding those Fungals. Our Terran player has 20 Marauders, which really pack a punch. 56 Marines to help deal with those air units, along with several Vikings. Medivacs to heal, SCVs, and those 2 random Widow Mines. So that's what we're looking at. And definitely need to inject here as HateCraft. Don't have a queen here. Need to inject. There we go. Alright, cool. We're gonna talk about injects tonight, guys. That's what we're gonna look at. In any case, there's a little bit of an attack here. Good Fungals going down. Really good Fungals. Does lose those Infestors. That's actually okay. If you kill all of the other units, it's okay to lose a couple Infestors. It's totally fine. Do have a small group of army over here for our Terran player. We have a couple Vikings here for our Terran player, but I think we're looking at a pretty deadly attack from HateCraft at this point. If he just goes ahead, he can probably kill this off pretty easily. Want to let the Mutalisk hang back and just kill off these turrets. No reason to have them involved with that nonsense. And now everything can sort of come on in. This base probably gonna die, yep, very quickly. And very good Fungals, again, getting all those Vikings. Fungals over here, getting all of these Marauders and Marines, and really allowing HateCraft to clean up. Very effective using those Infestors. A scan goes down, so that these tanks can be a big issue, but we do have vision of the high ground, so these Hydralisks are going to be able to hit a lot of those tanks. It was very good positioning on PraiseJeebus' part, though, as far as where those tanks were. I think this might be shifting pretty strongly into HateCraft's favor, although we do have a lot of Marines and Marauders. Oh no, the stim! Get a Fungal! You can do it! Get a Fungal! Oh, it doesn't have the energy. Oh, it's gonna be close! Oh, and PraiseJeebus sort of pulls it back. HateCraft does manage to actually go ahead and get this one surviving Infestor back. But he's only making 5 Roaches. Wants to make a whole bunch of stuff right now. In the Units tab, we see that he only has 10 larvae, though. Likely because of missing some of those injects. Looks like he did use the energy from this queen to go ahead and transfuse the spine right here at the front. And there we do have our additional Ultralists and Infestors. More flyer attacks, and there's the Greater Spire, you guys. There's the Greater Spire. Oh, I'm so excited. I really love Broodlords, you guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that out there. If there are Broodlords, I'm gonna be very, very happy. We have this Ultralisk here who is fairly wounded, and to be quite honest, the Queen probably has enough energy to go ahead and transfuse him. It's a very big power unit. It's probably fine to just use that extra energy on him. We have every scan ever from our Terran player. He's literally scanning all of this, because he needs to know what's there. He has an orbital command here, but realistically he's not mining. He has 3 drones mining here, or excuse me, SCVs, full 24 mining here, but aside from that he's mined out in his main. Oh, and that's his orbital from his main. And he's mined out in his natural. And right now we have mining going on from HateCraft here. Looks like he's mined out here, but he has full saturation at 2 bases. Whereas PraiseJeebus only has full saturation at 1. HateCraft actually could use a lot more gas. You see it dipping down fairly low, and he could probably just go ahead and expand again. And if you're Zerg, go ahead and expand again. Expanding is good. Expanding is your friend. We have another force of Mutalisks, and this being the only real saturated base for PraiseJeebus, this attack could be pretty deadly. This is most of his SCVs. Oh, do it, HateCraft. Do it, HateCraft. You can do it. Yeah. Oh, look at him die. Oh, this is a huge turning point in this game, I feel. Lots of SCVs dying. Not getting pulled. The army does pull a bunch of Vikings over, which is a good choice for defense, but probably should just run those workers away if they're being completely destroyed. And I think the Mutalisks might be able to clean this up after all. Bunch of Marines and Marauders coming over to help out. Oh, be very careful. There's the stim, and we get most of our Mutalisks back. Slow Tank and Marauder trying to deal with this. Oh, don't engage directly. You have so much more army that you can engage directly with, HateCraft. Be so careful with these nice, strong Mutalisks. Go ahead and attack in the main or anywhere else. Ooh, we do have an attack over here. Here we have these Zerglings being put to good use, killing off all these poor SCVs. It is no longer a party for them. This base forced to lift as the one Hydralisk, the hero Hydralisk, tries to make it burn down, but unfortunately does not. And here we have the random burrow, sort of off in the middle of the map. But if we look at the Terran, he doesn't have much in the way of things that can get him minerals, and he's down to 328 minerals. Can't remax quickly. And he's facing a Zerg player that's almost maxed out, and who is producing Broodlords. Ah, I'm so happy right now, HateCraft. I do love me some Broodlords. Alright, cool. So right now, HateCraft is looking pretty good. Looks like he is going to swing into the main with these mutas. Definitely want to be careful. There's a Thor, there are Vikings. Be careful. Alright. HateCraft is trying to give me a heart attack with these Mutalisks. Looks like he is going to avoid that army though and practice that non-engagement annoyingness that Mutalisks can accomplish. And in fact do as he kills off Supply Depot after Supply Depot. Looks like PraiseJeebus was pretty proactive in building those Supply Depots. We have HateCraft killing off a lot of them before he even gets pushed down to 199 being his max supply. HateCraft checks on these burrowed units to make sure that they're okay. Looks like we did lose a couple to these Widow Mines, which have finally come into play in this game, both getting 2 kills as those Mutalisks flew over. HateCraft does have detection, but it's back at home. These drones here need to be mining gas. We want to establish another base. HateCraft has a lot of minerals. Definitely could have a nice macro hatch. Could have another base over here. Could be mining more gas. Looks like he's gonna be doing some nonsense with his Mutalisk, which is probably what's distracting him from all of this. Oh, he loses his burrowed units. To a very good scan from PraiseJeebus, spotting that out there. And PraiseJeebus actually pulling it back a little bit. He doesn't have a lot of minerals. He's going to go ahead and rely on those mules, but he does have a lot of energy and he has mules, which are great. So he's going to go ahead and start producing again. Very low on minerals, but gonna protect those mules from the Mutalisks pretty effectively. Looking at the worker supply, we see that it is 0 to 52 in favor of HateCraft, which is great. And the army supply we see is actually in PraiseJeebus' favor, 170 to 124. For those of you who don't think that mules are really, really awesome, this is my evidence. Gonna take out the armory. Oh, the Vikings. I don't know that these Mutalisks can deal with these. Oh, he's gonna lose the Mutalisks. Okay, he does take out the armory, but he flees with his Mutalisks here. This orbital is like, no, I'm not dealing with the Mutalisks. I'm just gonna lift. It's not happening today. The only thing being produced by either of our players is going to be 9 additional Mutalisks. And I think at this point, when you're maxed in supply, when you're upgraded this much, at some point, you have to just sweep through and attack more. Probably HateCraft could take on smaller groups of these with Banelings, could go ahead and just finish off this base here. There are things that he could do with his units. Similarly, PraiseJeebus, who for a long time had the army supply advantage and continues to actually do so, in fact, is going to go ahead and try and make an attack happen, which is actually probably pretty wise since he doesn't have a lot of money coming in and our Zerg player is going to be able to go ahead and max out really quickly. A single drone in a party hat gets killed. We're all very unhappy at this tragedy. Workers in party hats should not die. Oh, Infestor. Infestor burrows. Oh, Infestor is killed. Now we have tanks here, but we also have Ultras. Just run down the ramp. You can do it. Oh, I think this base is gonna go down. This is starting to swing back in PraiseJeebus' favor. This is gonna be a problem for HateCraft. You can see him coming around the back to try and get at these tanks with the Zerglings. He has a whole bunch of Banelings. Just engage the units. It's okay. You can handle this, HateCraft. Looks like he's electing not to attack. He definitely should attack. HateCraft, you can end this. Good fungal goes down. This bit's gonna get cleaned up. There are more units that were streaming across the map, but now are turning back around. Splitting up your army constantly is not a great idea if you're... Don't just send half to attack. Send all of it to attack, but spread them around. That can be annoying. But sending them in a few units at a time is not usually a good policy. This army is going to come back over here and defend the very important mules, which are serving their purpose very well. Here we have HateCraft on his little mound of creep. Gonna go ahead and expand finally. Definitely want to see more expansions going down. He does have this one over here. Few workers mining at that. But he needs to make sure that his gas supply is up to par with his mineral supply. Probably could just go ahead and make extractors over here and have drones mine from those. Does have a queen popping on out. We're gonna speed up just a little bit, just a hair, because I want to see... I feel like the culmination of this is coming. There's a bunch of air units here. There's units moving across the map for our Terran player. We have a force up here guarding the very important ramp for HateCraft. We have an expansion going down for PraiseJeebus, which is going to be really good for him if he can get the units up. Here we go. Here's some interesting stuff. This orbital command probably going to fall right off the bat. Look at it explode. With those air units very much accomplishing their purpose. Swinging around, not quite sure what they're going to do. They could probably just hop into the main at this point. This army, undecided as to what it's actually going to do. Just kind of hanging out a little bit, grouping up. It looks like they're going to go ahead and push on forward. We look at the army supply, and it has swung back into HateCraft's favor, as is wont to happen if you have an army that isn't very well helped out by macro and support and money, and there's too many fungals here. Goodness, look at all the fungals. HateCraft is doing a really good job on the fungals. This army is pushing up the ramp, though. And remember, HateCraft is split up a little bit, so he's kind of betting that he'll be able to take this on with just these units here, since he has his air force across the map. But we do see most of this falling. It looks like it's gonna get taken out, even though this Ultralist has been just trying to get through to fight this whole time. He's been in the back. Let me through, you guys. And here we have the Air Force sweeping on and taking out PraiseJeebus' base, and that's gonna be the GG. Well played. As PraiseJeebus departs, we do have HateCraft as our winner, as well he should be since he made Broodlords. Now guys, I am going to go ahead and tell you that HateCraft, he's our submitter for this game. Thank you, HateCraft. He went ahead and sent me a very nice email. He told me that he's pulled himself up out of the ranks of bronze, now in the Silver League, and aspires to be gold. And for that reason, we're going to talk a little bit about those injects. Now, for those of you who are having trouble with your injects in the Silver League, there are a lot of different methods for actually doing your injects. I'm going to teach you the one that I know here, but if this feels uncomfortable for you at all, go ahead and look up some of the other ones. There are great videos about this. If you press the backspace key, it will take you to all of your bases. It'll just cycle through. Look how quick that is. That's enough to make me sick. I'm actually going to stop it pretty soon here. There we go. A lot of people will rebind this key to be the space key, which is a lot easier to hit, but since I don't play Zerg very often, for me it is backspace. So we can cycle on through like that. So what you want to do is in your control groups, you can go ahead and hotkey all of your queens to a hotkey, and you'll want to have all of your hatcheries hotkeyed to something else, of course, for producing units. But what you'll wind up doing is go ahead and select whatever key it is that you have your control group of queens in. I see a lot of people do 5, so if you have all your queens in 5, go ahead and press 5. Place your mouse in the center of your screen, because when you press the backspace key, you will center over all of your buildings, so you won't have to do much. Click 5. That'll select your queen. Press V and click and backspace. V, click backspace, V, click backspace, V, click backspace. For the number of hatcheries you have, you'll be able to do it in just a few seconds flat. I can actually try and do it here, even though the backspace key is hard to do. V, click backspace, V, click backspace, V, click backspace, V, click backspace. And it winds up being a lot faster, especially in the late game when it's really hard to micromanage and click over all of your bases individually and try and get those injects. So that's my favorite method. That's the one that I know. It's the one that I use if and when I play Zerg. So definitely want to make sure that you improve that HateCraft. I'll see you in the Gold League. For everyone else, if you would like to see me cast one of your games, go ahead and send those over to NoobCrafted@gmail.com, and I'll go ahead and put them up on my channel. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it. Have a good night, and I'll see you next time.